all profit is value extraction. And that means that all profit is theft from you.
Corporate America is on welfare, and we got to get them off welfare.
Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Hey, welcome to Cars and Comrades. My name is Bryant. We've got Brandon.
Yo.
Zach.
Howdy.
And Connor here today.
Hey.
So it's your socialist car podcast for the week. We're going to be talking about a few different things. I guess our main topic today is going to be the Nummi plant in California, and the reason why I guess Toyota's management system meant that you couldn't get toilet paper last year. So it's a timely subject. It's a intricate story of supply chains and manufacturing and unions and all kinds of interesting things. And we'll hate on Tesla for a little bit in there. Don't worry.
All right, as long as we get to do some of that.
Yeah.
There's always an excuse to do that. I actually like the news from this week that I saw. It looked kind of good. Like maybe it was a win-win for us or a lose-lose or something. But the police are suing Tesla.
Oh yeah, I think they said don't worry, we're gonna totally fix the running into ambulances problem that we have. But I don't know if that actually got fixed or not.
Like anything else he does, he's just gonna say he's fixed it, and then it's not gonna be fixed, and it'll be a scandal in 2 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got a few examples of that from like 2018 that we'll get to. But what was I going to say? Oh, and I guess we'll get to our project car updates, but I guess for the listeners, they might be a little bit out of order with the next couple episodes. We recorded sort of a crossover episode with another podcast, and they're a little bit more competent than we are and plan things out ahead. And whereas we just kind of throw shit together at the last minute. So, yeah.
Brian, you just spoiled our listeners might have thought we actually put some real effort into this and planned things out.
I mean, I did spend a couple hours last night going over my notes and copying and pasting things from Wikipedia. I mean, that's some work right there. I gotta hit like 2 keys on the keyboard at the same time.
Hey, that's too much. That's a lot.
Yeah. But
and normally the kind of folks I hang out with, when they talk about hitting 2 keys, it means something way different.
But what was I going to say? I don't know what our order is for who's talking about their project cars first. I think we're a little out of order in more ways than one. But
let's go reverse alphabetical, huh?
Yeah, Zach, I think you've got a few stories to tell about your truck, right?
Yeah, I do. I am hyped to talk about this, so I'd love to go first.
I cannot tell if that's sarcasm, but either way, it sounds good.
It's not. I'm actually very excited. So as of right now, the truck is running and driving.
Hey, all right.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it is actually legitimately exciting, not sarcastically exciting news. It's not completely done yet. It currently does not have AC. There's a couple little things that I need to put on it still. That I
right. To be fair, it's now October, and I get it. Climate change. It's going to be hot here and there, but it's October. You probably don't got to worry about AC until what, April, May.
Oh yeah, no, it's like so far down on the priority list. I don't give a shit that I don't have AC right now. It's been completely fine. Totally.
I haven't had AC in a car in over 10 years.
Well, that's because you drive dinosaurs and they didn't come with AC, so.
I can fill in something on that on my end when it's my turn, but there's news in that respect.
Oh, all right.
Putting
I'm excited
AC
to
in
hear
a car?
this.
What?
So are you putting AC in one of these cars?
Yo, it's not my turn yet.
Okay. I'm excited now.
He's just got a window-mounted swamp cooler. He's gonna.
I bought 20 pounds of ice.
I'm turning it into a seat, and I'm just gonna sit on that from now on.
Anyway, your truck's running.
Yeah, running, driving, making a weird noise, but I think there's about a 50-50 chance that's because my shift down cable is not fully secured. That's one of the small things I need to do, is find the bracket for that from a junkyard and get that on there, because it's got a little. Oh man, it's hard to explain in words without looking at it. But there's the standard shifter lever on the side of the automatic transmission that is actually controlled by the column shifter, and then there's a little lever on top of that kicks down into like a passing gear. And so if I stomp on the gas, there's a real weird noise, and I was hoping that it wasn't the torque converter not locking up, and I'm still hoping that, and assuming right now that it's just that shift down lever not being able to shift the truck down into that passing gear. But that's the biggest issue it has right now. I just stay out of the throttle and it runs fine. So I'll call it a success for now.
I'm actually pretty familiar with that on Chevys, but Ford transmissions can be a little bit different, and that's a more modern Ford, so I don't know. You really want to make sure that's well adjusted on a Ford, though, because it can grenade real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I made it make the noise a couple times to try to get an idea of what it sounded like and what it could possibly be. And then other than that, I've been doing my best not to do that so that it does not explode my brand new transmission.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. It can go bad quick. But I know mostly the AODs, and yours is a little bit newer than that, right?
Yeah, it's basically just a C3, a Ford C3. It's a little outdated, but
it's not an overdrive transmission.
It is an overdrive transmission, but built off of the C3, so not too much different.
I don't know the Ford transmissions too well, but specifically the AOD era, if the line pressure for that cable is not correct, they will grenade in miles.
Yeah, I think that's not the issue. I've definitely driven it more than miles already, and it seems to be doing just fine. So
fair enough. No, I think that's like a drastic case because Chevy 700 R4s are similar, but they're a little bit more resilient if it's out of adjustment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But if you were to not hook up that cable at all, the transmission will not make it for 50 miles.
It has certainly gone longer than 50 miles already, so I think I'm in the clear on that. And I do have that cable hooked up. It's just the bracket that holds the cable so that it actually pulls on that lever isn't in. I'm just gonna assume that it'll be fine, and if it's not, well, I'll burn that bridge when I come to it.
Well put.
So yeah, I think that's the biggest update for me. I think we talked already in an earlier one about my transmission installation woes and breaking the brand new transmission that I got. Or did I not talk to you guys about that?
Nope.
Yeah,
no, you did.
You
but
did.
The listeners are going to have to wait for that one.
Yeah. You guys are going to have to wait.
Suck it, nerds.
You'll get the fun backstory of that in a later episode. I think that's all I have. I did help Bryant with his MR2 project a bit the other night. That was a lot of fun. Never worked on a rear mid-engine car before, so some slight differences.
Yeah, thanks for all your help, man. I'll tell the full story here in a minute, but I think it's Connor's turn, right?
Well, no, I feel given that you guys were working together, I feel like Brian, you should go now. That's a segue right there. I'll go after you.
All right, cool. So I got all my parts for my Toyota from Rock Auto. It was a bit of a hassle because, they do this weird thing. They changed the like tax law in Colorado for like online sales tax, and so a lot of vendors are kind of fucked about that. So I had to get it shipped to my work, and then it arrived in like 4 different boxes, and I had to go on my day off to go and pick them up, and my boss had put it in a weird spot, and I had to go hunt it down in the shop. So it was a whole thing. But got all the parts, got the car, on jack stands, started taking things apart, and then I asked Zach, "Hey, do you have a cherry picker, an engine hoist that I could borrow?" And he's like, "Yeah, sweet. I'll bring it over as soon as I'm done with my truck." And maybe that was a little later than he had hoped for, but it was fine. I wasn't ready for him anyways. And I thought he was just going to drop it off and say, "Hey, cool, good luck." But he stuck around for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours and helped me take some stuff off the engine. So we got most of the bolts that hold the transmission to the engine off. And basically, I've got a couple more of those left to go. And then I need to get the cherry picker up and hold the engine up while I undo some of the engine mounts. And so the whole engine and transmission has to tilt down towards the driver's side so that the transmission can sort of angle out of the engine bay, because there's a frame rail in the way of it right now, just coming off. So that's it. It's a bit of a hassle. We were going to be like take the what do you call it, exhaust apart, so it doesn't like get tweaked and bent. But that those fasteners are pretty well rusted on there, so I think it's just gonna have to flex a little bit and be okay. But yeah, I mean, we're on our way. I don't know when I'll have it done. I'm running out of time to work on things, but hopefully tomorrow I'll have some time.
So wait, let me understand this. You actually have to pull the whole engine out? Because I thought you were just fucking with the transmission.
I mean, it probably would have been easier to just pull the whole engine out. We talked about that, but so yeah, just to take the transmission out, you have to angle the engine a little bit. So just take it off the mounts.
That's what I'm confused about. I mean, I get taken off mounts a little bit. I guess if that's all you're doing, I guess that's not that unusual, but
yeah, I mean, like basically there's only a couple inches on either side from like the front pulley of the engine to the frame rail and the side of the transmission to the frame rail. There's not a whole lot of space there to get it out that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, pain in the ass, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I said I did this once about 5-6 years ago when the transmission exploded the first time, and it was a pain in the ass. But me and my friend got that done. So, yeah. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say about the Lemons race last time is my friend Jake got me a Matchbox MR2, so a little toy car version of my real car. So y'all can't see it right now because I got the video turned off, but I don't know, maybe I can post a photo on the social and all that. But yeah, thanks, Jake, if you're listening. I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, then I guess it's up to me then. Not too much new. Car is kind of just still in the shop getting various odds and ends fixed up. I'm trying to get a whole lot of shit done very, very quickly. Because I'm trying to hit a drift event in like 2-ish weeks. And it's going to have to pass a pretty strict tech. So if I can make it even, which I'm still not entirely sure I can. But they're going to do, apparently they check to make sure your ball joints don't have any play. They check your helmets. They check literally everything. And I was like, oh God, this is a bit much. But so I'm having some odds and ends fixed. Car is having some weird issues. It may have to go back to the tuner to get a few tweaks. We're not sure yet. So who knows? But I don't know. It's moving along. There's progress is being made. I did just spend a lot of money on tires. So
You're drift racing, bud.
Well, okay, but like for the longest time, I literally got my tires mostly for free, just picking them out of dealership garbage dumpsters at night. So I'm trying to move up to like drifting on new tires because theoretically they're supposed to last a lot longer. And I happen to have a pair of new tires that I drifted on, and I did do like 2 events with them at least, and they still look really good. So they hold up if you don't, if you don't hot lap and like just keep going over and over and over again. Like if you let your tires cool a little bit, they do last. So I'm hoping that getting these new tires, especially specifically like ones made for drifting, will hopefully last a little bit longer. So I don't know. I'm trying out Velino tires, which someone at the tuner kind of turned me on to. So I was looking into them, and they've got like, which I usually don't pay attention to, like, the tread wear number, because normally it's like, I don't know, is it a good tire or not a good tire? Who cares? Like, but they they've got a 360 tread wear, which is, as far as I understand, that's pretty insane. So
As far as low or high, I'm not really sure.
So the higher the number, in theory, that's like how long it would last. So like they tested to like a standard of like 100 is like the standard of, this is what, the standard testing tire they use is rated at 100. So a 200 treadwear tire would last roughly twice as long, or wear at like half the rate, at least for the first 7,500 miles, because that's how long the test is. And a 360 treadwear tire is basically a tire that's not going to wear like at all.
Sick.
We're going to try it out. We'll see how it works. But
yeah, I mean, I think I've seen some like economy tires with like 500 or 600 tread wear, and those are basically like, I don't know, made of granite. They're not going to wear at all. You're not going to have any traction, but they're going to last for a million miles.
Yeah. So I got like some 200 treadwear to like put on the rear tires that like I'm actually driving on most of the time, which I could still drift them if I want, but like those will go on my like actually halfway decent wheels. And then I got another pair for some of my drift spares. So that'll be like the higher treadwear tire. We'll try that out.
So I'm curious what a set of those runs.
So the shipping was fucking more than I wanted it to be. So we'll see. These tires had better last a long time. But so the other thing that like one of the things that I liked about this particular tire brand is like I've been looking for Kenda tires, but like they come out with dog shit sizes. I'm like, I'm not running. They have like a range that it'll be like, oh, we have a 225 40 and we have a 295 30 in a 19-inch wheel. And I'm like, well, I'm not one of those two sizes. And it's like, well, I guess you're not driving on a Kenda. It's like,
have you considered going and fucking yourself?
So yeah, I've been pretty disappointed. I don't know if that might have something to do with like supply chain issues, maybe, but like I've been searching around and they have sizes that are not good. So Velino, I mean, they didn't have like a huge range of sizes, but they had like they had 265s, which I could use for my street car, and then they had some 255s, which I can put on my drift spares, which is like just the slightest bit wider than the 245s that are usually easier to find. So that 255 hopefully will give me just that little bit of extra grip. So I was pretty happy with that. The 360 treadwear ones, which is like the kind of cheaper one, was like 142 a tire, I think, for 18s. Which isn't like cheap, but again, I'm hoping if it lasts through a couple events, that's kind of decent.
In the politest way possible, go fuck yourself. Dude, tires for the rims that I'm running on the drag van, I think a pair of tires for the rear is like $700 or $800.
What?
Damn.
What?
Yeah.
Is that slicks or what?
Yeah, it's well, like there is actually some engineering in drag tires because they have a really soft sidewall, so that when you first launch, when they crumple, it's actually creating more contact area. And then once the RPMs get up and the tires are spinning, centrifugal force like forces it outward, and you have a lower contact area. But then it's just a lot of tire, and it's like sort of a supply and demand thing. They're not like 8-10 inch wide drag slicks aren't just flying off the shelves. It's a specialty item, so you're going to pay $300 or $400 a pop for them.
Yeah, that's true. How many passes do you get out of tires like that? I mean, will that last you a season at least? Maybe two?
I don't really know, actually. I imagine it would depend on your car. Like, I think, like, if I had to, like, guess, I would say probably you could get a season out of them if you're not competing heavily.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope, because, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, like, drag racing's expensive, so one of the things that you can do, and that's what I have done, is find, like, a lot of people will make a few passes and then get fresh tires. So you can usually find used drag tires pretty cheap. And I'm not afraid of doing that, so, yeah. Like,
well, that's true.
I've got a set of drag slicks for the van and a set of, like, technically street legal. Like, they're not cheater slicks. They've got tread, but they're still more meant for racing. And I paid about $150 for the drag slicks, probably roundabout, and like $200 for the Mickey Thompson street tires.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
yeah.
If I bought either set of them new, I think the Mickey Thompsons were like $600 or $700 for a pair, and the drag slicks, which are also Mickey Thompsons actually, those I think are $700 or $800 for the pair.
Yeah, I'm into drifting because I just don't have drag racing money. That's too much. Like I could drag race. Don't get me wrong, but like,
yeah, going in a straight line is moderately easy.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of money involved. I'm just worried because I'm like, if these tires, if they last me, like if I get a few laps out of these tires, I'm gonna be really pissed. Because like old used dealership tires have worked for a long time. The problem with them is that like I have to keep paying to like have them mounted and dismounted and all that, and then they only last X amount of time, and it's usually not that long. Depending on the track. Some tracks a pair of used tires will last me all day. And then some tracks, a pair of used tires will be gone in 5 or 6 laps. So it all depends. But I'm hoping, I mean, if I can drift all day on a pair of tires, that's a pretty good pair of tires. Because that is a lot of abuse. But I don't know. We're trying it out, so we'll see. But I've had to buy 6 tires in the last few days. I needed 2 fresh ones for the fronts, 2 for like my regular street wheels, and then I needed at least another 2 for some drift spares. So that way I'll have at least 4 that I can like just burn at the track. I think that I might even have a couple more. So I've got either 4 or 6 tires to burn up at the track. But yeah, spent some money on it. I have the money. It's just, you see what it charges you at checkout, and you're just like, oh man, this is a stupid thing that I do.
Yeah.
It just feels dumb. And then it was like for 4 of those tires, the shipping was like $90. I was like, oh. they're not cheap anymore.
Shipping always kills it, man.
Dude,
it doesn't matter how much it is. You're just like, okay, I can afford this, and then they're like, $11 for shipping. Get the fuck out of here.
I get why everyone loves Rock Auto. That's why I never order from Rock Auto. A lot of stuff that I try and buy from there, by the time you factor in shipping, it's just as easy for me to pick it up locally.
Yeah, I tried.
Maybe I should have done that for some of it.
I'm going to be honest.
Whatever.
I have tried Rock Auto for one thing, and it did not go well. I got some valve covers from Rock Auto, and they leaked immediately. Now, if I had looked in forums before I bought them, I would have seen people say that, hey, don't get these, they leak as soon as you put them on. But I didn't do that, so they leaked as soon as they were put on. So I had to get the expensive OEM valve covers, and those do not leak. But
Well, that sounds like your fault, not Rock Auto's.
that sounds like Rock Auto's fault to me. I think you're crazy. That sounds like Rock Auto's goddamn fault.
I mean, I think I talked about this in another episode, but don't get the cheapest coolant temp sensor for your Miata that Rock Auto has, because it'll last about 3 months.
Yeah, you should get the second, which, I'm not like I would be against Rock Auto forever on one part, because that's apparently for the 350Z, the only valve covers that work are the OEM ones. That's it. So, I can't blame them too much, I guess. Although, how hard is it to put a fucking gasket on there? Anyway, I would try Rock Auto again, but, that last time didn't...
For me, it's usually like, oh, this sensor is $10 cheaper than I can pick it up anywhere else. Oh, this sensor is $10 to ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I've been running a remanufactured power steering rack in my Subaru from Rock Auto for like 2.5 years now, and it has been excellent the entire time.
I really like anything remanufactured is usually pretty solid, because like it is essentially the OEM quality shit.
Yeah.
Just refurbished. I love remanufactured whenever you can get it. That's the way to go.
Absolutely. And it was way cheaper than anything else I could find. Like half the price or less.
I've had mixed luck with remanned starters or alternators. Usually good, but I have had bad ones. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever had a bad one, actually. I mean, whatever. There's the little shop, it's a little ways away from me now because I moved, but place I've gone to for a number of years, and they always had everything was like always under $100 or so, and everything always held up. Alternator, starter, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. So got all that, and then what was the other thing? Speaking of steering racks, I might need one. We'll see. Right now the steering feels really tight, and it has for a while. And I was hoping it was going to be this steering column bushing that's like in between where it like makes that bend. There's like a little bushing in there that was like, it was like a little U-joint, and it was like terrible. I mean, it was like you could hardly move it with your hand. So I was like, so we replaced that and then put the engine back in, and I was driving it, and I was like, this is a little bit tight. I haven't drifted it yet because I'm still on my winter tires because the car went in the shop that long ago, and those are too expensive to drift on at all, so I'm not going to try. But it does feel like the steering doesn't like just return when I let go of the wheel, which is not great, because when you're drifting, the fastest, easiest thing to do is to like let go of the wheel when you change direction, and the wheel will just kind of turn by itself, and the whole rack will, switch over while you're drifting. So generally speaking, I'm not touching the steering wheel very much when I'm drifting at all. It's very minute, changes here and there. But if the steering rack is going to be all stiff, I can still drift with it. It's just, I kind of have to force it a little bit. And when you're trying to go sideways, I don't want to be forcing it too much.
Well, here's what you do is get some springs that go from the tie rod ends to the frame of the car. Mm-hmm. So you got some return springs on your steering.
There you go. I could use bungee cords.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that'll work well. So who knows? I may need a steering rack, and I told my guy, I was like, look, I'm trying to get this ready for a drift event. I'm like, if that steering feels stiff and you think it's the rack, replace the rack. Just do it. I don't care. So we'll see. I may get a new rack. I may not. But that's the end of my updates and tangents and all that.
Oh, that means it's my turn.
You know,
Oh, were you about to say something, Brian?
I was gonna say, speaking of tires, I probably need to check the tires on my MR2, but last time I checked, I couldn't get replacements in 14-inch wheels.
Oof. Yeah.
So I might, whenever those wear out, I might need to either try and find another 14-inch tire or get a bigger wheel. Which, I mean, it would
Get
probably
a bigger wheel.
Yeah, it would probably make a lot more sense to get a bigger wheel, but I really do like the Toyota MR2 triangle shaped weird alloy wheels. Like there's nothing good about them, like they're heavy and they're probably not very strong, and there's nothing that fits on them, but they look cool. So
But if you sell those on like Marketplace or something shit, there might be someone who's trying to get like keep everything totally stock, and they're willing to spend all their time trying to find the right tires.
yeah,
Might be able to make some money on it for shit wheels. That's not a bad deal.
I mean, I kind of just want to polish them and put them on my wall as artwork. Maybe that would make more sense.
Yeah, it's probably better.
I upgraded one of my early vans from 14 to 15-inch rims, and finding tires for the 14-inch rims were so expensive that when I found a cheap set of 15s to fit on it, it was cheaper for me to buy that cheap set of rims and a new set of tires than it was for me to buy another set of tires for the 14s.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean, last time I did buy the 14-inch tires, it was like $75 each, so it wasn't that much.
Whoa, that's a steal.
Yeah, I mean,
what
that
are they
was
now?
Good question.
Might be
Last
worth
time I
it.
bought a set of 14-inch tires, I mean, granted, the rears on my van were pretty wide, but it was like $600 and change.
Yeesh.
Oh, okay. Well, now it's telling me that they're around 97 and up, depending on the size.
You should buy those like right now while we're still recording. Just go on your spiel. We'll keep Brandon will stall a little bit. Buy those now before they like go away or they're not in stock or some shit. Because I keep finding that too. Like I'll find the size I want. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave this window open for a while, and I'll buy them in a few days. And then I go back in a few days, and that size isn't available anymore. And I'm like, well, fuck. I mean, I still need the tires.
Yeah, I mean that's for 16-inch. I'm not seeing them for 14-inch, but I'll keep looking.
Okay, is it my go now?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there.
It was very rude, but I'll forgive you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this isn't important, but since we mentioned it, like when I bought my Cutlass, the dude gave me like crates and crates of like parts, and a lot of it was just like old junk that had come off the car or that people that have owned the car had collected and all. But there was an air conditioning system that came with it. But I didn't pay too much attention to it because my car was not a factory AC car. So I didn't want to have to figure out like all of the vents and like plumbing in, like all of that stuff. But what I should have gone through everything more because I was moving some stuff around. And once I started digging through the crates that had all the air conditioning stuff, I realized that there's actually like one of the aftermarket air conditioning systems that has a box that mounts under the dash and has all the vents and everything already. So I've got the brackets, the condenser, the compressor, and like the actual control box with vents and all. So
whoa,
whenever I feel very motivated, I could actually put air conditioning in the Cutlass now.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, do it.
Probably won't.
Welcome to the luxury of the early 80s.
Air conditioning was an option on my 67, just not an option that this previous owner chose to pick. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a lot of work, and I don't really mind the heat. And, do I really want to sacrifice that, like, 10 horsepower?
I don't think it costs 10 horsepower. I think...
Yeah.
I was also kidding. Like, this motor I'm putting together makes dog shit horsepower, but it's going to be a lot of fucking torque. So,
I mean, I would believe that the AC on my MR2 takes 10 horsepower. It really slows it down.
Really? God damn.
Oh yeah.
I drift with the AC on. I go all the way, all the way to Redline. I don't notice. I'll tell you, man. At the track, I see people in those old 240s that are all like, just a steel fucking oven, no AC, and I see those people. They're fucking dying, and I'm sitting in comfort in grid, waiting to go, and I'm like, I'm very comfortable. Yeah, I'm a diva about AC. Give me that shit in every car, whatever it takes. I'll compensate with more mods if it's too slow. I will always keep the AC though.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I do need to fix on my Subaru is the AC.
Yeah, I've just never owned anything with AC since I was like 20, so I just don't really think about it that much.
Yeah, I mean, look, the minute you put it in, you might come to like it, and you'll never want to go back. So there's that, but it is pretty great. Just saying.
Well, either way, like I can make the decision later because I'll have to like cut the brackets up and fabricate new ones or whatever because they're small block brackets. I could make them fit on the big block because Oldsmobile small block and big block are only different in a few ways, and one of them is deck height. So all I would have to do is cut the brackets in certain points and stretch them out. But either way, I started putting the heads back together for my motor yesterday.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, getting all the well, I decided to just be safe and lap the valves back in. So I got all of the valves lapped in. I've got the springs and everything on the one side. I ran out of time yesterday, but I'm thinking I might even go to the shop after recording, depending on. I might start helping a friend of mine with some construction projects this week, but if I'm not doing that tomorrow, I might just head to the shop tonight and finish getting the heads put together, because once the heads are put together, then I just plop the intake back down, and I got like some more like small things to do, but I don't see any reason that if I don't hit a real hard depression in the next 3 days that I won't have the motor buttoned up by like Wednesday or Thursday.
Cool.
Nice.
That being said, I've been very open about my mental instability, so the possibility of me hitting a severe depression in the next 3 days pretty high. But barring that, yeah, I think I'll probably start tinkering with the transmission here this week, getting the shift kit in that, and then it's just a matter of pulling the car into the garage and starting to do the work.
Sweet.
Hey, not too bad.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have to have a drive shaft made because I've pretty much decided to go with the transmission that I have now. It's a turbo 400. It won't give me the overdrive that I want, but you can build those transmissions to handle up to like I think a stock case can handle up to like 1,200 horsepower or something like that, which is nothing like what I'm trying to make. I'm just arguing that they're very strong even in a stock form, so it can handle what I've done to this big block no problem without any serious modifications.
Oh yeah.
And I just have to move the cross member a couple of inches and have a drive shaft made or have mine shortened.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Or I don't know, can you get one of those carbon fiber drive shafts that Connor was talking about?
Oh, I absolutely could. It would cost as much as I've spent on the rest of this engine swap.
Are they?
Yeah.
If they're that sucks.
If
It's
they're
really
custom.
cool though.
It's an aluminum drive shaft or even a carbon fiber one is something I've considered for something more race oriented. Like I thought about doing it for the drag van, except that the drag van is going to have a drive shaft that, like the actual shaft itself, not counting like all the ends of it. I'm losing my words right now, but yeah, not counting like that. My drive shaft's going to be like 2 inches long.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm really losing that much if I use steel instead of aluminum or carbon.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey man, once you
Yeah,
put
I could probably
AC
go
on
carbon
that van,
fiber. What's that?
once you put AC on that van, you're gonna need every little ounce you can get to make up for it.
That van will never have air conditioning. Dude, okay, so there was a very rare, like I've never seen one of the early Chevy vans that had the factory air conditioning, but it was an option, and it wasn't even in the dash. It was like as I have read about it. It again, I've never seen one, but I've read about them, and it was like an overhead unit that vented out of the roof. Like I have no idea how they work or anything. I don't know. I've never seen one, so if I come across that, I'll let you know.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's me. I've been tinkering with some bikes a little bit. Like I've started wrenching on my chopper a little bit more now that I've got like a solid idea of how I want to build it and what I want to do. But yeah, my big block's about ready to come together. Just gotta clean it up and start bolting things together.
Good shit.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, a part of me is looking forward to it, and another part of me is like, once you finish the engine, you still have to put it in, and then I'm like, well, I can take my time. Sounds like a lot of work.
Brandon, while we're on you and project car updates and whatnot, do you know anything about what's going on with IATSE and all that good stuff?
I mean, yes, but it's not really anything extravagant. Like, I hear a lot of people making claims about how we're on strike or going on strike, or we voted to go on strike. That is not true.
Okay.
We passed the strike authorization vote by, I've read different numbers, but by the lowest number I've seen, it was over 95% yes.
Yeah.
So what that means is that now we are authorized to declare a strike if negotiations continue to go poorly.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought it meant.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people where they're almost treating it like it is a strike, and it's like, no, this is that strike authorization, which is in the back pocket during negotiations. It's an important vote, but it's not an actual strike as of yet.
It is saying that we are putting this tool in the toolbox if we need it. I get frustrated with people because I'm like, if you're going to talk about it, know what you're talking about. But people who want to talk about it very casually and don't understand that voting to go on strike and voting to authorize a strike are two different things. It's hard to fault them because it is a confusing distinction.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but like, one thing, I don't know if this is unions got to get better at this or whatever, but I'm like, I'm a leftist and I do not know enough about how unions work, and that's sort of my fault. But like, a lot of people don't know how unions fucking work at all. So would
I'm technically not in our union yet because you have to work a certain amount of days, and I was almost there, but now the looming strike has gotten my shit all fucked up, so they had to cancel some shifts because everybody's behind on everything.
Yeah.
So I will, if we do go on strike, I will not technically be in the union when it happens. I will still be on the fucking picket line, and I will still be beating the dog shit out of scabs if that happens, but I will technically not be in the union.
Gotcha. Man, that sucks.
Dude, fuck it. In my heart, I'm in a union.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's something too. Now, is there a separate vote to go on strike versus like authorize a strike? Like, if everyone votes to authorize a strike, negotiations go poorly, can they just be like, all right, we're on strike now, or is that a separate vote?
I think it's a separate vote.
Okay.
But most people, for everything I've heard from anyone up and down the ranks, is that once you vote to authorize a strike, the likelihood of actually going on strike is still very low.
Yeah.
Because right now we have a distinct advantage because coming out of like 2020 when COVID restrictions really hindered a lot of productions, now everything's behind and they're trying to play catch up. So if we all go on strike, that just makes everything even further behind. But there is a big thing that a lot of those people are not considering that is worth considering. And that's that one of the production like one of the companies that we are dealing with is Amazon.
Ooh,
because
yeah.
we are making content for Amazon Prime. And a lot of people are like, oh, they don't want to lose all of the money that they'll lose if we go on strike. And I'm like, you need to understand that Amazon will lose money if it means crushing worker movements, because it will save them money in the long run. And they're smart enough to know that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, do not approach this with kid gloves, because maybe Amazon will bend over and do. But one of the things that led us up to this point, as I've been told by some people, is that when it came time to negotiate contracts, Amazon had gotten a very friendly contract because it was covered by something that we were calling new media, being a streaming service. So they got a beneficial deal for their early productions. But now the argument is that it is no longer new media. Streaming services are at this point very well established.
Yeah.
So we wanted to not only end their kind of sweetheart deal and get more, their counter offer is less than the deal that we already had.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if anybody is like, anybody that's saying like they won't let us go on strike, it's like, well, they basically pushed us to the point where it was an option. So don't be surprised if they keep pushing, because we would be the only thing covered under any purview of Amazon that would be unionized.
Well, the other thing is, I don't know if people really understand. Amazon is trying to get into every facet of life, right? That's their goal, but that's not a requirement. Like, they're not making any real money off their streaming service, I don't think. In fact, of all the streaming services, Amazon's kind of sucks. It's a perk that is to convince people, hey, shop with us, you have Prime, here's some shows and stuff, and we can like show you ads and shit, or you can rent movies from us. Like, it's just this is Amazon Prime's like video, their streaming service is a lot like some, it's what all those, nonsense get rich quick idiots are talking about. Oh, this is passive income. You want to have multiple streams of revenue, and you want to, have your money work for you. That's what this is to Amazon. They don't give a fuck.
Amazon's business model is actually a lot more sinister than that.
Oh, god damn.
So Amazon, okay, I cannot speak within the last 2 years because it's been about that long since I looked into it. But if you look at Amazon's profit margins, like Amazon Books, which is now expanded to like Amazon literally buy everything in the fucking world that you can.
Yeah.
It didn't turn a profit for pretty much the entire duration of its existence.
Yeah.
It operated in the red, like maybe not at a loss, but like pretty much breaking even.
Oh no, it's a growth. It's that like growth model where it's like grow through acquisition and just beat the shit out of everybody because you're not turning a profit and they have to turn a profit, but you're still able to operate on razor thin margins.
Well, okay, but the reason that they can do that is because they don't make their money selling things. Amazon's actual money is from Amazon Web Services, which hosts most of the fucking internet.
And a lot of the military.
Yeah. Like, Amazon makes their money from Amazon Web Services. So, because they were able to always be profitable due to Amazon Web Services, they were able to have Amazon as we know it, like the website to buy everything in the world. They actively were aware that their only real goal was to gain as much market share as possible. So they were basically an aspiring monopoly of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still definitely making money on this stuff because like they put in the effort, right? And that effort is going to have some return. So like they're putting in efforts to like to steal people's little like, oh, they make, whatever little knickknacks, and Amazon finds a way to re-engineer that stuff and sell their knickknacks as a competitor. Yep. Like they're putting effort into that because it is making money for them. It's also making them a monopoly at the same time. But like I think it's a little bit a little column A, column B kind of deal, So it's basically the most sinister it could possibly be.
Yeah, they have enough money to, run at a loss and crush the competition in just about any online sales thing that you can think of.
Yeah, so they're trying to pull that same shit with the film industry right now, which doesn't work exactly like that, because when they want to make a TV show, they don't own they might own the production company, but the production company still has to hire electricians and set builders and design, like all these things that are union,
Right?
And they can't really get around that. Like, even if we go on strike, like it would be intense, and there is almost no room for scabs, because you would have to find people who know how to do all of those things but are not in the union, or are in the union and willing to scab, and thus make sure that they never work again after the strike. And camera operators are in a different union than IATSE and will never cross a picket line. So you would also have to have scab camera operators. And Teamsters run all of our trucks that we use on a daily basis constantly. Teamsters will never cross a picket line. And man, I don't really know what they're like nowadays, but everybody fucking knows the Teamster reputation. Like, cross a picket line, be found in a dumpster.
Yeah. And I think they're actually trying to organize some Amazon workers, like the Amazon truck drivers right now. So, I mean, yeah, you don't fuck around with the Teamsters.
I mean, I feel like that we need more of those types of unions.
Well, yes and no, because I mean, historically, Teamsters were pretty corrupt too.
Yeah.
But fuck it, I'll take a corrupt union that gets me paid and fucks the boss over before I'll take no union at all.
Yeah. I think one of these days we're going to have like just a heavy union discussion episode, probably after the stuff, just because I'm curious as to what people might take away from that kind of sort of study.
Not to brainstorm too openly on air, but I've often, and if any listeners have any feedback on this, I've wondered the extent to which where maybe we should expand to cover more like general like workers sort of stories, because I think it's pretty safe to say that the Venn diagram of car guys, or car people, car persons, whatever, and working class is a fucking circle. Like,
yeah, usually
with exceptions, but the exceptions are usually like high-end race teams and stuff, or dudes who are car guys in so much as they spent $1.2 million on a hypercar that they don't know anything about.
Yeah,
right.
Like, they're not car guys, they're guys who could afford fancy cars.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I don't know, because like how many fucking places are on strike right now that it's worth mentioning? Like Frito-Lay and Nabisco, they're off strike now, I think. Who's the big one that's back on strike right now?
Yeah,
Kellogg's, right. So, like, shout out to all striking workers, man. We're behind you.
Yeah. Solidarity.
Yep.
Definitely.
Oh, and we're not really doing a news episode today, but since I'm done talking about my projects pretty well, I'll mention that Lordstown's back in the news this week.
Yeah,
should be good.
Oh yeah, it's,
and they're doing great, right?
Well, they did announce that they were going to be in full production by September earlier this year, and true to their word, here we are in October, and they just sold their manufacturing facility. Which might, like, again, like as much as I love shit talking, like this could go any sort of way, but it does prove what everyone already knew, which is that Lordstown were basically incompetent when it came to manufacturing. They could very well design a perfectly adequate truck, but actually putting it into production never looked too friendly. So now they've sold their facility and are trying to negotiate having someone else manufacture the trucks that they have designed. That's a pretty rudimentary explanation of what they're doing, because that's my very rudimentary understanding of what's going on. But more will be revealed to us in the future. But Foxconn, the Taiwanese company known for making iPhones and tech like that, are now being in negotiations to do the manufacturing for Lordstown at the Lordstown facility.
At the end of the day, what is a fully electric truck, but an iPhone with wheels.
I think you're being sarcastic, but I don't even know if I disagree with you.
Yeah,
I mean,
that seems
yeah,
right.
little column A, little column B. It's basically just a rolling iPhone. So yeah, maybe they'll be great at it.
Well, have you seen where more and more people are coming out saying that the reason that there are so many chip shortages in the automotive industry is not actually because of any sort of like supply chain issue, but rather automotive companies are using such outdated technology that a lot of manufacturing plants overseas are not wanting, like, they're upgrading and trying to remain on the cutting edge of doing like the newest technology. And a lot of them are getting to the point where it's like, no, we're not going to tool up to make 20-year-old chips for your truck.
Yeah.
I have not heard that, but interesting.
I do know that like automotive stuff tends to use like a little bit older and more proven technology.
No. Brian, you must be mistaken. Capitalism causes more innovation.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. I must be wrong.
It incentivizes innovation, and socialism stops that. So you can't possibly think that these huge industries are using old technology. That can't be, because I've been told that the only way to be successful is, in fact, to innovate and to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah, but what you're not hearing is that socialist China is just trying to drag us down.
Well, yeah, of course.
By using more modern technology than we are.
Oh, see, okay. Yeah, that's right. Hold on. I did hear about that. China's got this whole plan, right, to like stop capitalism by using better technology and, improving their economy faster than ours. And that's just socialist bullshit. It's all designed to stop America, which is super great. It's a complex plan because communists are evil, and yeah, but capitalism will win. I'm pretty sure.
Listen, not all communists are evil, just me.
And everyone knows every time that socialism is better than capitalism, that's just a socialist plot to destroy capitalism. Which makes perfect sense.
I like everything you say today sounds sarcastic, but that actually is the plan. That's a solid plan.
Yeah, you say that like it's bad things, Zach.
I use sarcasm to tell the truth.
Man, you seem like the most impossible person to argue with.
I am. Ask anyone that knows me in real life. I am. I'm extremely frustrating to most people.
Me too, but for just different reasons. Why am I arguing with you? You've been on mushrooms for weeks.
Hey, people say that to me all the time.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, the context I heard it in was like with Tesla, like with their all their like infotainment stuff is more like commercial grade electronics that, like what you'd have for your iPad or whatever. Whereas like the like touch screen in a Ford or a Chevy or a Honda or whatever is going to be more rugged and is designed to exist in like higher and lower temperatures and still actually work in a car that's like vibrating and 100 degrees or whatever.
Yeah. So my understanding of it was that, like, yeah, you want something more robust. It's literally the difference like between a light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty equipment. Like,
yeah, exactly.
They might be less comfortable, but they're going to last 500,000 miles longer. So you don't necessarily want to go with cutting edge technology on something like this, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you stick with the pinnacle of technology from 1995 either.
Right.
Especially in this context where, like, maybe a lot of the tooling to manufacture that stuff is getting outdated and needs repaired or replaced, and nobody wants to replace it with outdated technology that's new.
Yeah. I mean, I think with like aerospace stuff, it's even more pronounced. Like they're using, ruggedized chips that were like last designed in the 80s or something. They're not really looking for the most powerful computers for spaceships or airplanes. They're looking for something that's going to work all the time. Well, unless you're Boeing, I guess. But that's another story.
Woo!
Yeah, I mean, the more critical something is, the more you want to make sure that it's sturdy enough to handle what it's doing. That's actually kind of why I think the endurance is a little weird. I'm not shitting on Lordstown, but a lot of the stuff that I've read about their design, like, I see where maybe it handles well and performs well and blah blah blah, but like, if it's a fleet truck, it's also got to last more than 25,000 miles too. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by this company, but I am. So you're going to keep getting all the dumb little updates from me.
Yeah. No, it's pretty fascinating. I know, I mean, what's it? Trash Future Podcast has been talking about them off and on for a while.
Well, also specifically, I'm fascinated by it because we were making dies for them at my old job. But now that I'm not there anymore, I feel like I should give up, but I don't. I've developed my nemesis, so here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Can I add an update that I forgot about?
Sure,
No.
go for it.
I'm going to. So,
Okay.
can't stop me. I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job.
Oh, shit.
That's
Yay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot
Fuck 'em.
all about it. Yeah, hated that job. It was very boring. I did not like it. It fucking blowed. So, put in my notice, and I'm starting in a totally different industry, which, thank God. So that's going to be coming soon. But the nice thing is, I start like November 15th, and I'm done working at this job like the 20th or 21st or something. So I got myself a nice little break in between there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is going to start potential. Like, I'm going out of town to up to my dad's place where I'm going to be hanging out with a cousin who's in from out of the country. And I may go to this drift event that weekend too, because technically my dad's place is closer to it, but we'll see. So I may or may not go to that, but that is a hell of a way to kick it off. So I'm going to be off for like 3 weeks or something, which I've never had that opportunity ever, and I'm very excited for it. So yeah, very happy to be moving on. Also have to work on doing background check stuff after we're done recording, which I'm not looking forward to that part, but I'm also vaguely nervous because I'm like, I gotta provide some documentation for jobs that were like semi not legit. I mean, they were legal, but it's like, ooh, that was kind of a little bit different. So anyway, I got to do some background check stuff, which makes me a little bit nervous because I did already put my notice in, but yeah, pretty sure it's all good. Got a new job, got a nice break, put my notice in at the shitty job. So yeah, pretty big update that I totally forgot about.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is cool. I guess you probably don't want to use this podcast as on your resume.
No, I definitely do not.
But if you wanted to, we could make up a business and we could be your references.
Oh man, that's tempting. That is kind of tempting.
I think someone on Street Fight was talking about doing that.
That's
they
the
did do
classic move. Is
They literally did do that. There was a part in like the Facebook group or something where like people were using each other as, hey, good for them. That is what community is for.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
the
right.
other. Yep. Sorry. That's the update I forgot about. So.
No, that's cool. Should we take a quick break here and then get on to the main subject?
Yeah, I need to go in like 5 minutes anyway, so I think I'll probably just head out if we're gonna take a break. Unfortunately, won't be able to be on for the actual episode.
Oh,
well, thanks for being on for this part.
At this point, this is well into the actual episode.
Yeah, I guess. Just not the, educational part. Just the shooting the shit part.
Yeah. That's half the reason I talk about how I don't really give a shit if anyone listens to the podcast is that I just enjoy bullshitting with you guys for a couple hours every week or two. So it's like, if people listen, cool. If they don't, I'm still getting everything I need to out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not doing this like for fame and success. This is what I enjoy, is chatting shit. So
yeah, I'm with it. Well,
Sweet.
we'll catch you later then, Zach.
Right on.
Yeah, good to talk to you.
Nope.
Yeah, you guys
Have fun trucking.
Yeah, enjoy that truck.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. I will. I hope that it does not spontaneously explode now. Brandon got me a little nervous about it. So,
Oh no! Like what I was talking about. Worst case scenario, you just fry your clutch plates.
okay, that's not that big of a deal. I have like 3 torque converters in my garage right now because I kept buying transmissions and then
The clutch
I
plates
returned
in the
them.
transmission.
Oh,
Yeah.
not like the clutch packs in the torque converter.
I don't know. Is that how torque converters work?
I honestly don't know. I know
That's
shit
not-
about
that's
automatic
okay. That's not how torque converters work. Then they're a hydraulic coupler, but the way an automatic transmission works is in a really rudimentary sense. There's a couple of clutch packs. Usually, there's a clutch pack for the first and second shift, and a clutch pack for the third, fourth shift.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, like when a transmission is slipping, it's because those clutch packs are frying.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, I mean, the thing cruises like a fucking dream. It's literally like if I'm at a dead stop or under like 15 miles an hour and I just punch it, it makes a horrible noise and rattles. So I don't really know what that is. I'm hoping it's just that little like shift down, kick down lever thing trying to engage to get me into the low gear. But yeah, cruising on the highway, ripping around, it'll do just fine. And I can accelerate hard from a pretty steady roll just fine too. So
okay.
I don't know. It seems pretty minor. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like you're about to grenade your transmission based on what I know. So.
Yeah. And this is the first like automatic transmission thing that I've really spent any significant time with. I've been pretty much manual stuff my whole life.
Yeah, I wondered that as soon as you referenced the clutch packs in a torque converter.
Yeah. I don't know shit about how they work mechanically.
Well, I know there are the lockup torque converters. I don't think that's what you have.
That's just lock. No, he probably does have that because the more modern ones are like that. It's good for fuel economy because the torque converter being a hydraulic coupler still slips even at cruising speed.
Mm-hmm.
So what all the lockup does is it makes it so that the torque converter is. I don't know the actual mechanism through which it works, but it makes it so that the torque converter no longer slips, and you improve your fuel economy because there's less wasted energy.
I think it's like an electric clutch, kind of like what's on an AC compressor pulley, you know? So it gets...
I don't think it actually has... It doesn't actually work off of the torque converter, I don't think. I think it's an electric mechanism inside the transmission itself. Because you can run all the overdrive transmissions that I have, you can run them with or without an electric... without one of those switches, or you can get like a manual switch where you can turn it off and on. But you have to be very careful because you'll like stall out the motor if you like forget to turn it off when you're decelerating.
Yeah.
A lot of them are vacuum operated. There's a wide array of ways to like retrofit stuff to like older vehicles, but actually, even some of the not overdrive like in the 80s they were putting lockup on like 3 speeds just to improve fuel economy just a little bit because I have 2 junkyard transmissions that have a provision for an electric lockup.
Interesting. Yeah, this transmission is also somewhat peculiar because it is half electronically controlled and half vacuum controlled.
Huh.
Yeah,
Somehow.
that I don't know anything about.
Yeah,
honestly, even people who understand automatic transmissions can still tell you that they're basically magic.
Yeah, that's how I've understood it. I've tried several times to look at how they work and understand it, and at this point I'm like, yeah, it's black magic. I'm fairly certain.
It's accurate to say that looking at an automatic transmission and trying to understand it is tantamount to trying to program a computer by looking at a circuit board. And that's not even like me exaggerating. It's literally the way like the valve bodies work and the like the line pressure. It's all in a way that makes the automatic transmission operate as a hydraulic computer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair analogy.
Yeah.
But
It's
I actually found,
instead of electric signals, it's fluid.
yeah.
So
I actually did find a shop that I think I can trust, which is very out of character for me. But I found an old dude at a transmission shop who's like super rad and seems like he knows fucking everything to know about him. And he's been great so far. I called him like 20 times and bugged the shit out of him, just asking him questions about stuff. And yeah, he's been super helpful. And he's the one that hooked me up with the transmission repair when it was damaged, trying to install it. So yeah, seems like a good dude. I think if I can't figure it out, I'm just gonna chat with him and see what's up and maybe have him take a look at it. But yeah, he seems like a fucking wizard. So
are you really a car guy if you're not hemorrhaging money on your car all the time?
Absolutely not. No. I've put more money into this truck than I bought it for, like by a large margin. So
no, I feel like that's the goal we're all going for, is to like have the cool car and not be hemorrhaging money on it all the time. That's like the master car person level that we definitely have not reached, but someone out there has figured out how to do it and not be like, having like addiction level problems.
Well, I actually realized
I think the key is having a shitload of money to start with, so you just fix all the problems all at once perfectly, and then it's great. And it's like, yeah, I can't.
I'm gonna be honest. That's what I'm trying to do with this rebuild, and I'm just like, I literally like I have money in savings. Like I didn't work on this car for like a few years, which means I've been out of the drift scene for a while because I'm like saving money, and I try and do it all at once. And take it from me, doesn't work super great. Doesn't. Yeah. You think it's I thought I had everything figured out. I'm like, I've got every little piece right put together. I was working from home, right? This was the best time to do it. No better conditions were available. And comes out and the car's like, oh, it dies sometimes when you're driving. And it's like, son of a bitch. And I'm still I'm like, I've changed the headlights. I'm like, all right, if you got to change the steering rack, you fucking do it. Change the whole exhaust, do everything. And it just still comes out. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Not enough.
There's always something else. There's always something else, man.
Yeah, take it from me. I feel like we've all had the dream of like, what if I just did it all at once? I'm the dream is kind of a nightmare.
I realized that I coasted past a pretty monumental hallmark without even realizing it in the last couple of years. I own everything I want. Like, I've got my drag van, my early van that I want a daily. I've got a muscle car. I've got my sick chopper that's coming together, like so on and so forth. They're just all falling apart. I do get why that sounds like a joke, but like truth be told, it means that like now when I save money, it doesn't need to be because what if that dream vehicle comes along? It's because I need to have money ready when I want to buy parts for the dream vehicle I already own.
Oh, that's true. That's very cool. That is definitely...
That's an awesome place to be.
Yeah. Every one of my cars is paid off. They all need a lot of work, but they're paid for. My house, same thing. My house is paid for. I'm about to have to put a part of the roof, get part of my roof replaced, but like I have that luxury because I don't got a fucking mortgage. So if I can just get like one more vehicle in strong running driving condition, I've got like 2 like bulletproof vehicles that I can rely on. One if I have a small problem with the other, and back and forth, work on my projects, get my bikes together, etc., etc. I feel like I'm in a pretty golden position.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in as good a financial situation as you are, but both my cars are paid off, and any maintenance that I've had to do lately has been cheaper than a car payment for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know.
There's 2 kinds of cars that if I were to come across one at a good price, I would still buy it, and maybe in the future I'll look for one. But for now, I'm like, nah, there ain't really nothing else I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sweet.
You know, if I came across a budget Tri-5 Chevy right now, sure. But absent that, fuck it, I got what I want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, on that note, it's probably time for our break that we.
Yeah. We talked about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, hell, you can cut all that out because it's just me bragging about how easy my life is.
We'll talk about that. We'll figure that out. But
what I succeed in, like, cars and home, I lack in mental health and sobriety. So
worth it. That's a good trade. I would take that trade.
It's a mixed bag, I promise.
yeah.
Well, I have none of them, so I need something going for me.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
All right, you guys, it's been good.
All right,
Always a pleasure.
Later.
See ya.
All right, we're back and we're talking Nummi. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
New day, new me.
Sweet. All right. Well, this is a bit of a long story. It goes over a few decades, and it has to do with General Motors, Toyota, the UAW, and like I said, why no one could find toilet paper last year. It's a big complex issue. So hopefully it'll go a little bit quicker than we usually do, but no guarantees. So.
We're on a time crunch, but it's Cars and Comrades. We're gonna see how it goes.
And
I think
I'm a
it's time
little
to just accept that, like, you only start a podcast if your skill is saying in an hour what could be said in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm pretty hungry, so I'm gonna try and finish up here without saying anything stupid or whatever. But
I'm also a few drinks deep. Keeping it real.
Hey, maybe I should be drinking on an empty stomach. Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
I haven't been drinking as much because of all of the mushrooms I've been eating.
All right, so our story begins in 1963 when General Motors opened the Fremont Assembly Plant in California. It's in the Bay Area, sort of like a suburb of San Francisco. I don't know. I've never been there. So for a long time, they built pickup trucks and GM A-body cars there. So like the Chevelle, Tempest, Cutlass, Skylark, stuff like that.
I'm familiar.
Yeah. Also the El Camino and Caballero.
Oh, sick.
So as was the case with a lot of American car factories, they valued quantity over quality. And a big part of that was you never stopped the line from moving. In fact, it was basically a fireable offense if you stopped the line for any reason. There was so some of my sources for this, mostly I took a lot of stuff off of Wikipedia, but there's also a really good This American Life episode about this from 2015. Where they actually interviewed some of the factory workers and some of the management. And it's really interesting. It's very much from a liberal viewpoint. Like they don't have very many nice things to say about the union. But I mean,
This American Life does do decent in-depth stories that are interesting, but like anything else, you can look at liberal sources for news, but you have to understand that, like, oh, this is a liberal source. What are they leaving out? What are you just look at it through a leftist lens. That's all. You just have to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's generally pretty difficult to find a true leftist source for a lot of stories. It's becoming less and less true. But if you're going back a little ways, it can be difficult. So
yeah,
you take what the libs say and do with it what you will.
And a lot of this has to do with like management philosophy and different ways of doing business. So like I have like Forbes is one of my sources that I got here. So there's a lot of like business major bullshit that I was trying to read and make sense of last night. But basically with this plant, like, and with a lot of General Motors plants, if you had a defect on a car, they would just push it off to the side and deal with it later. And that was often in the parking lot of the plant. So they just had all these, like one of the workers was talking about how they'd get like a Chevelle with a Cutlass front end put on it and stuff like that. Or like some guy would show up drunk to work and forget to torque down the suspension bolts or something like that.
I relate to that guy heavily.
Yeah, so there's a lot about this workforce that I'm like, critical support, guys. You know, like maybe I wouldn't go into work drunk, but like I kind of respect the UAW for standing up for these guys.
I've never gotten drunk before work, but I have still been drunk when I wake up to go to work.
Yeah. So it opened in 1963. By the 1980s, the adversarial relationship between labor and management had deteriorated to the point where employees drank on the job, smoked weed, were frequently absent. Sometimes up to 20% of the workforce was absent on a single day, so that they couldn't actually start the production line.
Dope.
And there were like
this
petty
is my
acts.
model for a better world.
I mean, I'd like to have a place where, you know, work is a little bit more relaxed so you don't have to like get high to like dull the pain. But you know, we can't have everything. So, and sometimes workers would commit petty acts of sabotage, such as putting Coke bottles inside door panels so they'd rattle and annoy the customer.
Oh my god, you did not warn me how awesome this story was going to be.
Oh my god, that's got to be okay. Hold on, someone, we got to send an email to the UAW. This has got to be a new tactic. Every union needs to know. Hey, put Coke, make rattle shit, make shit rattle. It'll be great. Oh man, this is great.
But I heard this one tidbit. I couldn't find a confirmation for it. It's just something I heard years ago. It might have been at a different car plant, but I heard a story of someone putting a like a beer can in a drive shaft and then welding up the ends on it. Yeah. So like whoever the customer that got that car was like, I can't figure out where this rattle is coming from. And it took some digging to find.
I bet. Jesus Christ.
I can't believe they had the money to find that rattle. Can you imagine?
Jesus.
Right. Well, that's why, like, yo, my car's under warranty because it's 6 days old and it's rattling like hell. Like,
yeah. So even the leader of the local UAW called them the worst workforce in the automobile industry.
Oh, that is the dream.
So like basically anytime they were trying to the company tried to discipline the workers, they would just make a bunch of grievances up about the management or go on strike. So pretty cool. But by 1982, GM had enough of their shit and just closed the plant and laid off all the workers.
Boo.
Yeah.
That actually, hold on. That actually does seem really drastic for a few, like, hey, a few cars rattle, they sabotage, if you like, they work. So I get it, but like to close down the plant actually does seem pretty extreme. I mean, I'm sure they were still making plenty of money.
I mean, I think they also had a plant in Oakland at the same time, so I don't know. Maybe they just transferred stuff over there. But like they closed it for 2 years and they actually started to demolish part of it. But then eventually they got in business with Toyota and they started a new joint venture called Nummi, which stands for New United Motor Manufacturing Incorporated. And so this might seem like a strange thing, like the two biggest car companies at the time, or at least I don't know, they are now. I'm not sure if Toyota was as big at the time. But basically, you know, because of like American fuel economy standards, GM was having a real hard time making like small fuel efficient cars that didn't suck.
Say.
Yeah. So like think of the Chevette or the Vega, you know, not the greatest quality vehicles out there.
I don't know. I know a guy with a big block Chevette, and wait, no, Vega. Yeah, he's got a big block blown Vega, and it moves.
Yeah, I know a couple people who actually defend the Vega and say that they're good cars, but they had an aluminum block and an iron head, which just seems like the dumbest idea ever. There's a few other issues with them.
Yeah, I mean, I also have a lot of friends with drug problems. It happens.
What was I going to say? So basically, GM wanted to have some of that small car technology that all the Japanese manufacturers seem to be doing pretty well. And the reason what Toyota got out of it was they wanted to enter the North American market more, but there were tariffs and taxes on importing cars from Japan, especially pickup trucks. I think we talked a little bit about this in a previous episode, but yeah, the chicken tax. I don't know what it has to do with chickens necessarily, but there was a tax on importing light trucks. And before this plant opened, what Toyota would do is import the trucks without the truck bed on them. And then there was a company in California that would put the truck beds on them and sell them in the US. And so that's why if you get a Toyota truck from the very early 80s, like pre-84, the truck bed will rust out before the cab of the truck because they made them out of different grades of steel. So, yeah. Needless to say, the rest of the truck was a lot better than the bed. But let's see. So they got this plant, built up and eventually they hired back 85% of the old workforce. But they didn't get their old seniority from the union. That was part of the negotiations.
That's horseshit.
Yeah.
That's horseshit.
Yeah, fuck that.
But they also sent a bunch of the more senior or more experienced workers to Toyota's plant in Japan at the Takaoka. I'm probably going to mispronounce some Japanese words here. And that was to learn the Toyota production system and also actually work on Corollas and different cars, Hiluxes that they were going to be building in California. And there's some really interesting audio of that in the This American Life episode. Like they actually got news programs from Japan from the same time. And they also, so GM had 16 managers at the plant and Toyota sent 30 of them. Because also Toyota wanted to learn what it's like working with an American workforce, what the UAW is like. And in fact, for part of the time, the CEO of Toyota, Tatsuro Toyota, actually went over to the plant and worked there.
Worked there?
Yeah.
Or...
He did stuff there, let's say. So I'll go a little bit on a tangent here about the Toyota production system.
A tangent on Cars and Comrades?
It's also called the Toyota Way. I'm not really sure what fits into which. One is an older way of doing things, and I think the Toyota production system is the more modern thing. I might be getting that backwards. But it's a set of guiding principles. It applies to executives all the way down to the production floor, and also includes their suppliers. So it's focused on long-term profit, continuous improvement. The word for that is kaizen. That comes up a lot in Japanese industry. Teamwork and eliminating waste. So some of these principles are using a pull system to avoid overproduction. And this is what's also called just-in-time manufacturing or just-in-time production, lean manufacturing. And it's a production method aimed at reducing times within the production system. And basically you can think of it like if you go to a grocery store and you get a box of cornflakes off the shelf, you buy it, they scan the barcode, it goes into the grocery store's computer. They know to order more cornflakes from the supplier. and then Kellogg's or whoever knows to make that many more boxes of cornflakes.
Again, cannot stress this enough. Don't buy fucking Kellogg's until the strike is over.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just what I had in my mind. But
yeah, I know we were talking about it earlier. That's why it came up. But like, don't buy fucking Kellogg's. Just wait.
Thanks.
Just wait a little bit.
It'll probably be over by the time this comes out. But if Kellogg's is still on strike, don't fucking buy it.
Yeah. And so like this works really well for certain industries, so that you don't have like a big inventory. You don't have a warehouse. You don't have a storeroom in the back that's full of inventory. So like, I don't know how many of our listeners or any of you guys have worked retail, but like when I worked retail, like if some customer came up to me and said, "Oh, could you go check in the back for if you have any extra of these? There's none on the shelf." 9 times out of 10, there would be none back there. Like whatever storeroom there is pretty lean.
Yeah.
And so basically I would just go in the storeroom, check my phone, and then go back and say, "No, sorry, no, none in there."
To be fair, I did work at an auto parts store for a while, so a lot of stuff was in the back. But usually it was like, hey, if it shows up in the computer, it's there. If not, chances are very slim, although not impossible.
For us, it was more that like somebody would be like, "Can you check in back?" And we would just be like, "Well, I literally know for a fact that we don't have any, but I'm going to walk into the back just so that you shut the fuck up."
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And when I said check my phone, I didn't mean like looking at the inventory on my phone. I meant like looking at Facebook or something for a couple minutes.
Oh, yeah. No, I got that.
Yeah. So the downside of this system is that it requires producers to forecast demand accurately, as the benefits can be nullified by minor delays in the supply chain. Like, say, if there's a pandemic or maybe a container ship stuck in the Suez Canal.
Oh, it's more than that. My partner works in, supply chain analyst stuff, demand planning, that kind of shit. And it's plagued by IT issues, too. Everything's fucked up all the time. It's always wrong. It's garbage.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you need 10 billion boxes of cornflakes at this one store?
Believe me, that is very common. And apparently, and my partner's always telling me, sir, she's like, there was literally 8 million boxes of this, and no one thought it was strange. I'm telling you, it's kind of a joke. Like, they think they're sophisticated, but like, it is not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's only as good as what information you have and what supply lines you have,
Yeah,
I love that what we're describing is we are struggling to accomplish what Salvador Allende almost accomplished in the early 70s.
Right, exactly. Stafford Beer or whatever his name was.
Well, no, Salvador Allende of Chile. It was Chile, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but he hired a British guy named, I think, Stafford Beer.
Okay.
Who was, in the field of what they called cybernetics. It's a little bit different than the common usage today.
Yeah, I know that they had like a super like futuristic like master control room that was like whatever, but like
I actually didn't know any of this. I only knew about the coup for the most part, and Allende was cool.
Yeah, Allende it was called Project Cybersyn.
So Allende was actually working on a computerized system to make a planned economy more efficient and effective. And so I remember reading that one of the big hurdles that he had wasn't the computer system. It was having just to make up examples, like you have the steel mill. They're not producing the kind of steel that you need, and something is being built that's going to need it. So their master control room would send all of the orders to the mill or to the construction site or whatever. And the big problem that they had was not actually the computer system. It was getting the management at the different facilities to actually keep their inventory up to date and everything. It was basically it seems like it might have been a good system. I don't know it inside and out, but it was just early in development. And then, the U.S. is like, sorry, we don't like what you're doing, and you got to die now.
Yeah.
The
And
real
I think
September 11th.
And I think when the military, whatever was it, the Navy that couped him? I forget. But whenever they broke into the CyberSyn control room, they just took it like an axe to all the computers, just because like,
Of course,
this
they
is
did.
socialist machinery. We got to get rid of this.
Of course. Well, I actually didn't know that about Allende. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's a podcast called General Intellect Unit that did a series. Actually, that's basically all they talk about is like cybernetics and central planning and stuff, and like using computers to do that kind of thing. There's also the book, the People's Republic of Walmart, if you want to like nerd out about like planned economies and logistics and stuff like that. It's a pretty good read. But what was I going to say? I'll see if I can put that in the show notes. But oh yeah, another thing about the just-in-time system is it may also impact negatively on workers due to added stress and inflexible conditions.
You don't say.
Yeah. So that basically means like when an order comes in for 10 billion boxes of cornflakes, you got to fucking ramp up production real quick. And when
at Kellogg's, it's hard to ramp up production when you've already got your guys working 7 12-hour days a week.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not the greatest system in the world, but Toyota, because of, like they didn't have a whole lot of resources in the post-war period. They didn't have big factories to like store parts in. That was the system that they came up with that worked for them, basically. But the problem is like all these, anyone with a business degree now reads this book about the Toyota way, and they're like, oh, the key to success is just to trim all the fat and get rid of all these warehouses and, computerize everything. And it's like, well, that works if you also like maybe follow some of the other parts of the Toyota way, build a culture of respect and, among the workers and the management.
I thought you were going to say build a cultural revolution, and I'm like, yes, 100%.
I mean, that'd be cool too. I don't know how well it would work for long-term profits, but so
I sound concerned about profit.
So another principle of the Toyota way was leveling out the workload. Their phrase is "work like the tortoise, not the hare." So basically, trying to make it a little bit more even, so no one's like stressing out, no one's sitting idle. And they would also rotate job roles among a team so that you wouldn't get burned out just like riveting the same thing for 12 hours a day, 52 weeks a year.
I'm actually very into that.
Yeah. They also gave permission to any employee to stop the production line at any moment if there was a problem and to call over a manager to fix it. And some of the American workers were like totally amazed by this because like at one point, they stopped production and they're like, well, this tool isn't working for the job that we have. And a manager came over and looked at it, took some measurements. And then like that afternoon, the engineers had designed a better tool to work in that situation. And they were using it again and, making the production faster.
Okay,
so they were.
So just to paraphrase up to the point that we're at right now. So you're saying in Japan, when there was a problem, the company worked to fix it, and in America, they just ignored everything until eventually the workers just got hammered at work every day.
Exactly. Yeah,
I see no connection between these two ideas. All right, continue.
And it extended to the suppliers too, like GM. Like basically, when some of these managers came back to the U.S. and they tried to implement some of these changes in GM, like they would get a part from a supplier that doesn't fit on the car, and they would call up the supplier and they're like, well, that sounds like a you problem. And they would call up the GM engineers and like, we need to design a different part. And they're like, I mean, it works for all these other factories. Why are you guys complaining about it? So like, there just wasn't that culture in GM at the time. If there is today, I don't know.
I doubt it, but whatever.
Yeah. Listeners, if you work at a GM plant, write in and tell us. So December 1984, the first car rolled off the line. It was a yellow Chevy Nova. And this is I believe it was the front wheel drive Nova that they made in the early 80s.
Yeah, what year did you say? 79?
84.
Oh, that was a dog shit era of Nova. I disown that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Nova was even around then.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a Nova by then.
Yeah, I think it had some Toyota parts in it too. I'm not sure.
I can live with a Nova that doesn't break down all the time, but it just looked awful.
Yeah. So they started producing the Corolla there in 86. And actually, they had similar quality to the Corollas made in Japan, and also around the same speed of production. So they were, it was working actually. The factory first turned a profit in 91, and that's when they started building the Toyota Hilux there, or also known as just the Toyota pickup. So we mentioned the chicken tax and all that. And then let's see.
And that's how they created Al Qaeda.
Pretty much that quality California manufacturing.
If they had just never made the Hilux, we would not have terrorism.
Well, they'd probably be in Nissans or something.
I mean, I am obviously joking.
Yeah. So then Toyota started opening its own plants in Kentucky, Canada, and somewhere else too. I don't have that in my notes. But they're like, we don't want to do this whole union thing anymore. So we're gonna try and get away from that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any. I don't think currently there's any unionized Toyota plants in North America. I might be wrong on that.
Boo.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, basically, like I said, Toyota had a tough time, implementing these changes in the U.S. One of those managers did go down to a factory in Brazil, and they were successfully able to implement a lot of the Toyota system. But, GM was a little resistant to change in those days. So in 2009, because of all of that and because of the financial crisis, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They ended up scrapping the Pontiac line, which was, I believe, the Pontiac Vibe. Or no, I don't think they were making. I think they were making the Pontiac Vibe in Canada. They were making the Toyota Matrix, which is the same car at Nummi. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. So those were both like Corolla based hatchbacks. They're pretty decent cars. They had all these negotiations. They were trying to figure out what to do with this plant now that GM was starting to pull out and downsize. So Toyota was like, we could build a Prius hybrid, and then GM could like badge it as a Chevy or something. We could do something like that. And then eventually that broke down, and they decided not to do any of that, and they closed the plant. So,
well, hold on, that's actually quite a bummer. I mean,
yeah,
it's like silly as it like is private labeling and what but like hybrids would have probably gone a little bit further if there were more brands that, like, even if it was the same fucking car, more brands putting out hybrid vehicles. Like, you'd get these idiot who don't want to buy a Toyota because they think it's whatever toxic masculinity kind of shit. But like if Chevy made it, you'd get a little bit more traction, I think. And I mean, it probably would have been a drop in the bucket, but like, we would have probably been a little bit further along.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think shortly after this is when they developed their own hybrid cars. What was it? The Volt, Chevy Volt, which I don't know if that was a good move, because they only made those for what, like 10 years or something, if that. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting what could have been sort of scenario. if GM had been a little bit more open to change, and
Yeah.
Maybe if Toyota had been a little less, little more pro union. But
A little less anti-worker.
yeah. So on April 1st, 2010, the plant produced its last car, a red Toyota Corolla. You all right?
Yep, cat's just knocking stuff over.
Okay. So, and then eventually Tesla bought this factory. And now it is the Tesla Fremont assembly plant. And as we've discussed, Tesla has some problems, especially with safety, like worker safety. And
So first I've heard of this.
Yeah. So they've gotten a little bit of attention from the EPA and OSHA. Quite a few fines at this plant. So April 1st, 2019, they reached a settlement with the EPA over mishandling of toxic waste. Tesla allowed Tesla allowed hazardous waste to accumulate on site without a permit beyond the allowed 90 days.
Great.
Yeah, they left two 55-gallon drums of hazardous waste open with no gasket or locking mechanism.
God damn it. This is like a cartoon. This is like you see those 55-gallon drums in video games that you're like, why are there always these 55-gallon drums? Here these motherfuckers are. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, like, not to argue for Tesla, like, I'm surprised that two 55-gallon drums of material was enough to get a fine over, but
yeah. There's more.
Okay.
That's probably not the reason the EPA was there. That was the tack on. I bet.
They also violated air emission standards for 3 leaky transmission lines that the waste moved through. So they just had some pipes that were dripping toxic waste somewhere.
Nice.
Cool. Sounds normal.
And in 2013, there was an accident when a low-pressure aluminum casting press failed, spilling molten metal on 3 workers and causing their clothing to catch fire.
Oh, no.
Which sounds pretty terrifying to just be sprayed with molten aluminum.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't want that.
They were fined $89,000 by OSHA for that one. There was also an incident where a worker's fingertip got severed. And then let's see. I was going to read through. This is, I think. Oh yeah, a Tesla worker is getting hurt because Elon hates the color yellow.
Oh yeah,
I have heard about this.
Yep.
So among the more baffling details in the report are several sections about Elon Musk's personal tastes appear to have affected the factory's safety for the worse. His preferences were well known and led to cutting back on those standard safety signals. Musk apparently really hates the color yellow. So instead of using the aforementioned hue, lane lines in the factory floor are painted in shades of gray. So, like, I don't know. I mean, this is true of the shop I work at, but generally speaking, in a factory, you've got these painted yellow lines, and okay, I can walk inside of these lines, and nothing's hopefully gonna come out and poke me or whatever. But if I go inside those lines, it's someone's work area. They might be grinding some metal. They might be riveting something. They might be, I don't know, cutting something. And, it might be a little bit dangerous. So Musk just doesn't like this. So he's like, just paint them a different color of gray. So it's not so clashy. So Tesla denied this and I guess sent them some photos of some yellow lines. And they're like, see, we got light yellow lines.
Jesus.
Musk did also not like the having too many signs, like safety signs up. He also didn't like the beeping sound that forklifts make when they reverse.
How can you disrupt the car manufacturing world if you've got safety things in place? Real workers want to invest in crypto and not have safety at work, okay? That's what we're about over at Tesla.
let's not forget, man, the future of political economy is in crypto and gaming.
We don't need to produce any physical, tangible objects. Just everyone can be a streamer and get paid in Bitcoin.
I feel like on this show we should just start replacing crypto with tulips.
Yes,
because and for listeners, especially young ones who maybe don't know this, in the 1600s, 1500s, I don't know, somewhere in Europe.
I thought it was like the 17 or 1800s.
It could have been. I thought it was earlier than that. There was the tulip bubble. So if you don't know what that is, you should pause the show. You should Google that. Look at the Wikipedia as to what the tulip bubble is, and you'll notice. I mean, it's a lot like crypto. It's just people were trading tulips like they were fucking assets, much like crypto. So a lot can be learned from that. Just saying.
Yeah, I think it was in the Netherlands, and I think they still produce a lot of tulips there. But it was a big deal for a while there.
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah, caused a crash and everything.
Yeah.
You guys know about the bread wars, right?
Was that the Buttigieg thing? Was he involved with that?
No, the bread wars were in France before the French Revolution. There was some asshole who got in the ear of the king and was just like, actually, if we deregulate the markets, it will be good and prices will stabilize themselves. And almost immediately there was like a shortage of flour and bread became scarce, so the prices skyrocketed, and people rioted until like bread prices got like stabilized, and like basically it was one of the first attempts to ever like do like an actual neoliberal economy where there's like no regulations, and it failed spectacularly almost immediately.
Nice.
Like nearly got the king deposed and was an early catalyst for the a small event that not a lot of people have heard of called the French Revolution.
Yeah. So that was they were getting rid of regulations or adding more regulations. I forgot what you said.
I mean, it was effectively like feudal France, so it's I'm sure there weren't like it wasn't regulations as we know it, but there were some protections to make it so that you couldn't charge like $50 for a loaf of bread. And somebody was like, if it, like an early like sort of capitalist economist, I forget his name, basically said like if you remove these protections, things will actually benefit everyone better, and will make more money. And what it turned out that meant was that people almost starved and had to riot in the streets just to get bread again. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so a former safety lead at the Tesla factory said it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed. And then another employee attempted to call attention to these problems and then eventually resigned in frustration.
Oof.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, and that's about where we are today. I think it was last year, Musk threatened to close the plant because, and move to Texas, I think, because, California wouldn't let them reopen during COVID soon enough for his taste.
I mean, technically, he did move the headquarters to Texas.
Yeah,
I know that much. So I don't know. I don't know what that has to do with this necessarily, but he's an asshole and he did that thing.
Right.
Which is an important lesson. Again, capital can move, workers cannot.
Yep. Yeah, like all those 85% of the Nummi staff that were out of work for 2 years.
Now, I don't know. Mike Rowe says that workers should just move to where the jobs are.
That's true. You know what? That's a very reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard him say any other dumbass shit that's like overtly pro-capital.
He's a real hardworking guy, though.
Yeah, that hard-working ass opera singer.
So,
for anyone who doesn't know Mike Rowe's background before Dirty Jobs, he was a fucking opera singer. The notoriously blue-collar profession of singing opera.
And also getting getting a free house to live in from your famous lover.
Yeah, I don't
even know about that. Jesus.
I don't remember all the details, but I know I think it was
It was on Street
Citations Needed podcasts.
This episode feels less like we're recording an episode and more like we're airing our grievances with rich people.
Oh yeah.
Like even more so than normal.
Yeah, it's Festivus has come early. But yeah, I mean, I know Citations Needed did a good episode about why Mike Rowe is full of shit, and they had Brian from Street Fight on there.
Oh,
so
perfect.
That's a good one.
Oh, I have heard that. I forgot about that. That fucking rules.
Yeah, it's been a while. I should have listened to that again. I remember that being really good.
But yeah, so some of the cars that were produced at Nummi over the years was the Chevy Nova that we mentioned earlier, the Corolla, the Geo Prism, which I think was just a rebadged Corolla. Toyota
No,
Hilux.
I don't think so. The
Was it?
Prism I think was its own thing. The Corolla
Was that like an Isuzu thing?
Yeah,
I forget.
I think it was so Geo had the Metro and whatever the other one. I don't think it was the Corolla because the Corolla was actually decent. Geos were never good, I don't think, or maybe they just earned that reputation falsely, and it was in fact a Corolla, which was a decent car. I don't know.
It was a rebadged Toyota Sprinter, which is derived from the Toyota Corolla platform.
Okay, platform is a loose term, so
yeah.
That's the platform thing is why I can pretend that my Cutlass is a Chevelle.
Yeah. So they also did the Toyota Hilux pickup and the Tacoma, and then I saw different sources on this. Some said that they made the Pontiac Vibe and the Toyota Matrix there. Some said that they only made the Vibe there. Some that they only made the Matrix there. Some, I'm not sure. One of them they made in Canada. One of them they made in California. They also made a Toyota version of the Pontiac Vibe that they sold in Japan as the Toyota Volts. So they took a Toyota, put some Pontiac styling on it, then they put some Toyota badges on it, and then they shipped it across the ocean to Japan. And it didn't sell very well. I think only like 2 years or something. So yeah, it's a weird little thing. There's I'll try and remember to put this in the show notes, but there's a Doug DeMuro video about the Pontiac Vibe GT, which is the high performance version of that hatchback. Pretty decent car from what I understand.
Yeah, we talked about it in a recent episode, which I then Googled and was like, damn, I kind of want a fucking Pontiac Vibe GT.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty cheap, but I kind of want to
hold on. Maybe I should get that as a daily.
Yeah.
Because winter's coming and the new job's going to require me to drive a lot. I'm on winter tires, but my partner's like, you shouldn't be driving that race car in the snow. And I'm like, well, it's what I got. So
no, 100% she's right, because then if you wreck, you don't have a race car.
Right.
That's true. No, maybe I told her I'm not getting an extra car. I was like, I'm not doing it this year, maybe next year, which I've been telling her that for as long as we've been dating. So here's to another year. But I was like, okay. She's like, can you promise me you will have a contingency plan? If it's really a bad winter, will you consider buying a daily car? And I was like, yeah. All right, I'll consider it. Pontiac Vibe GT might be the way to go.
Bad car guy, but your girlfriend's telling you to buy another car, and you're like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but it's less money for the race car. You got to understand here, and I have 2 already. It's unmanageable.
You just got to get out from under. I have 12. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, they are pretty good cars. Like, I think they make around 170 horsepower. You know, they've got like a Toyota version of VTEC, but I think it only kicks into at 5,000 or 6,000 RPM. And like red lines at 7 or something. So like that second cam profile doesn't come on until you're way up there. So it's a very peaky engine.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty high compression, so I think it needs premium gas too.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
But like, yeah, they're
if they're
pretty
cheap,
quality vehicles.
If they're cheap and like halfway decent, like because like here's the thing. When I get to get a daily, it's always like, oh, it's got to be something with a manual. It's got to be something zippy if I can get it, right? So it's like I need a little something, and if nobody's looking at the Pontiac Vibe GT, that's what I'll go for, or the Matrix equivalent, whatever that is.
XRS, I think.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like XS or some shit. Yeah, something that's like easy to look over. That's a good daily for me.
Yeah,
because the Z is bad in the snow. Even with snow tires, it's maybe 2 inches off the ground. Although I think that's being a little too generous. So that's a problem.
I saw a Vibe GT around here for sale for like $4,000. So like they're not super expensive. Like you can get a decent one for not too much.
Yeah,
I just Googled it, and granted, this is Carfax. I feel like you can definitely find shit cheaper, but these are all fairly high mileage, but they're all clocking in the like 5,000 to 7,000 range.
I'd have to look. I'd want something less than that, but
yeah, you could probably find a shitty one for less. But
shitty one is what I'm looking for. If I'm looking at all. We'll see.
Yeah, this is fucking Carfax. Like, I don't know this shit inside and out, but I'm guessing that if you actually put the effort in, this was just the first thing I clicked on. But if you put the effort in, yeah, you're gonna find something less than that.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a base model for like
no, but the base model ain't no. That's not what. It's got to be zippy, otherwise I'll take the risk of crashing the race car or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the second gen one you could get with a V6 and all-wheel drive, but I think that was only with an automatic.
Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, automatics are only good if you want like to go fast.
They're just not as fun. That's what it is. It's about fun to me. They're fast. Automatics are faster. Often nowadays they're better on gas, but they're not as cool and fun. I like to, smash the little gear lever. Just like, boom! I did that myself. All me.
No, I actually want to put a manual in the Cutlass eventually, just because like a Tremec 5-speed with overdrive would still be a better, like more fuel efficient upgrade from running like a 3-speed.
Oh my god, yes.
and you're not wrong, man. Shifting gears just makes you feel like you're in a race car, even if you're in the most dog shit thing you could find.
Dude, my first car was a 96 Toyota Camry, piece of shit, but it felt like a race car because it had that stick shift, and I was like, yo, this is great. Then it started a long-term addiction to cars and all that stuff, but anyway, we were on a topic of some kind.
I mean, that's about all I've got right now.
What an interesting joint venture plant that got sold to a piece of shit billionaire.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the takeaway is for this one.
What an interesting model of efficiency that prevents people from unionizing.
Yeah, and
creates
you can't get toilet paper.
Oh wait, did I miss the toilet paper part? How did this affect toilet paper?
Oh, just like the just-in-time supply thing.
Oh, so and like, that was then applied to toilet paper, and then that's why we couldn't get toilet paper to wipe our booty holes?
Yeah.
Well, it's basically been applied to everything. That's the nature of the whole just-in-time process.
Yeah, and I think
they were so this was where it came from. I guess I just didn't get that takeaway. Now I'm really driving it home that that's the takeaway. They started it. It's their goddamn fault.
Well, it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, it's not their fault that it got applied to toilet paper. It's, I mean, it works fine.
I was going to ask. It kind of sounds like you're saying that maybe they had a decent system for it, and then other people saw that and ignored all of the like safeguards and just let things go to shit. Okay.
Yeah. That's my takeaway. I'm not sure. Like I didn't go to business school, so I don't know the full story. But
you're probably smarter than them anyway. Fuck them.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I didn't go to school to learn stupid, as the Time Cube guy would say. But yeah, that's about all I have. Don't buy Kellogg's. Join a union. Uh, don't buy a Tesla. That's my
Yeah.
advice.
Yep.
And if IATSE goes on strike, support them too, man.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, Brandon, how would you support that? Like, what is crossing a picket line with IATSE? I genuinely don't know.
I don't think that there is anything. Like, support us in, like, I'm sure if it gets to that point, there will be strike funds and things like that. But unless I can't imagine what you would do to boycott the entire film industry shy of doing that. No one's going to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Strike funds and all that stuff. That's good.
You know, like with Kellogg's, it's easy to buy another brand of cereal, but IATSE is the entire film industry.
Yeah.
And if we go on strike, the workers might struggle because that is what going on strike does. But there's not anything you're going to do to hurt the companies. We would be hurting the companies enough just by like holding up all of the productions.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I forget if I mentioned this already, but there was someone on Twitter was like, "Oh no, does this mean that my Marvel movies are not going to come out on time?"
Yeah, I did see that, and that person can go fuck themselves.
I think they got pretty piled on in the comments on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, who cares about the worker as long as I get to watch another Captain America movie? Fuck
right. Yeah, these movies just, spring fully formed from the head of Zeus or Stan Lee or whoever makes those things. I don't know.
I think I've seen a couple of Marvel movies that stood out to me as good, but by and large, they're just... You could replace any one of them with any other one of them, and I wouldn't notice.
Yeah, I mean, if listeners, if you like those movies, that's fine. They're not really for me, but whatever.
I liked them for a while, but I'm out of it now. It's much better.
I will say that I really enjoyed the Black Panther movie. Because I really dig like the Afrofuturism aesthetic, and they did some fun stuff. The villain was one of the more compelling ones, but he had a good message.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember liking it.
Yeah, I have seen those memes where like whatever the villain's name is did nothing wrong or whatever.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that, but I can't remember it well enough to like try and argue the point. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I've never seen the movie, so I don't know. Well, I think let's wrap it up. Anything else before we stop recording here?
No, I think we're good. Let's not have. Oh, do you want to plug socials?
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you're a listener, you should probably follow us on social media and stuff. It's like, that's cool. I got memes and all that fun stuff. So we're on Instagram at Cars and Comrades Podcast. Same with Twitter. And we're on Facebook. Go ahead, like our page. If enough of you do it, maybe I'll start posting there. Which we've been saying it's a bit on the show now, but go like the page. Maybe I'll post some shit there.
I think we got like 11 people following it currently, so thank you to those people if you're listening.
You're doing God's work.
We're also on Reddit and Hexbear and many others. Hexbear, if you don't know, is the old Chapo chat, which is its own social media network, apparently.
Yeah, I've been posting on there sometimes, and we got some pretty good feedback from the last episode about lead, leaded gasoline and stuff. So
yeah,
thanks for everyone that said nice things about us.
Oh, we should also we have an email that we check once in a while. I don't know. You try sending an email there and see what happens. But
yeah,
it's carsandcomrades@gmail.com. Pretty simple. Like everything else we do, it's just our name and then the thing. So
yeah, I mean, people are constantly telling me how simple I am.
Yeah. So I think that's all of them.
All right, we did it. That's it. End it.
Sweet.
We're over.
It's finished.
All right,
We're
we
so
did
bad
it.
at this. End it now.
We don't think you fight fire with fire fists. We think you fight fire with water fists. We gonna fight racism, not with racism, but we gonna fight with solidarity. We said we're not gonna fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we going to fight it with socialism.
Amazingly, or not so amazingly, Cuba's crime rate is one of the lowest in the entire hemispheres. Oddly enough, it seems that when people have their basic human needs met, they're less likely to commit crimes.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
The free market mythology, it argues that the most ruthless, selfish, opportunistic, greedy, calculating plunderers, applying the most heartless measures in cold-blooded pursuit of corporate interest and wealth accumulation, will produce the best results for all of us. Through something called the invisible hand.
What are you smiling about?
Dude, I almost had you.